what's going on, guys? It's Godspawn, and I'm back after about 8 or 9 months. But I finally figured out this subclassing thing, and I got a great build for you guys today. So, as you can see, it's a SORCDENBLADE. And this build, guys, is just absolutely ridiculous. We have crazy sustain, crazy damage, and we're actually quite tanky as well because of some of the skills and the champion points that we run. This has got to be one of the best builds I have ever run in my ESO career. This build is going to make you feel like a god. I just run around Serial or BGs or IC, whatever it is, and I just dominate. You guys will see it. Put this build together. It's easy to get the gear that's in this build. Put it together, and you will notice a difference. I'm glad to be back, and let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with the gear. First, we have the Gourmands Battle Axe sharpened with the shock damage lift. Okay? Gourmands, if you don't know, is 2 and 3 piece crit chance. I like this because we always have it on our back bar as well. So even when we're on our back bar, we still have high crit chance. So it gives us higher chances for crit heals, and it gives us a higher chance to proc our rallying cry. Yes, we're running rally cry on the back bar. So we got the 2 3-piece crit, 4-piece weapon damage that we have on the front bar, and then we get an additional 13% to our crit damage and crit healing while on the front bar. It's basically like Order's Wrath, except you get less crit chance, but you have more crit damage, so you have a higher damage potential. This set pairs super well with our Antiquity, which you guys will see, and you're probably already guessing if you've been playing this patch. But this is what we got on the front bar. Back bar, we got a Defending Rally Cry Sword with the physical damage enchant. The reason that we have this is because I like that it restores stamina. Because if we ever need to heavy attack on our back bar, even though we don't have to do that very often because we have very good sustain, this gives us a little bit of extra stam back, does a little bit of extra damage. So we have great sustain on this build. Our stam sustain is not quite as good as our meg sustain, so that's why I have the stam glyph. I go defending because I like being extra tanky on the back bar, but some of the skills that we have are also extra tanky on the back bar, and as well as our Mythic makes us more tanky on the back bar. So defending is what you want. You know, some people will run precise, which you could do, and it raises your spell crit, but we have such high crit that we don't need that. And you could go powered if you want as well. But I just like defending. I just like being tanky on the back bar. So that's what we got here. Next we got the Rally Cry Shield, sturdy with stam enchant. We're going all into stam, so this just helps raise our stam and increase healing by having a higher resource pool. And we got sturdy just so we could block a bit more. For our monster set, we got 2-piece Roksa, the Warped Masks. So we essentially get 310 stam, magic, and health recovery after about 30 seconds. That is just goated. So much recovery. This is what brings our recovery to the next level. This is what makes me basically have infinite sustain. I think my sustain right now is at the perfect spot. I don't have infinite sustain. Like, I can't just dodge roll 100 times and be completely fine. But I don't have to think about my sustain. I can just play the game, be as aggressive as I want, be as defensive as I want, and most of the time I don't have any sustain issues. Every once in a while I'll have to heavy attack on the back bar to get some stam back, whatever, but that's very rare. It's a very rare occurrence. I can play pretty well as much. I can just do whatever I want and don't have to think about sustain, and that's because of this. Great sets, my favorite monster set in the game. I've been using this monster set for years. If you guys have been watching my build videos, you know I've been using this for years. And yeah, don't sleep on this. Next we got the heavy Trainee chest, reinforced, get some extra armor and extra health. We also have tri-stat enchants on all of our gear. Next, we got the Roksa shoulder, medium. So I'm running 1 heavy, 2 medium, and 4 light. So that's going to increase our damage a lot, having 2 medium and 4 light. And then we got the heavy for the extra undaunted passive and the armor. So yeah, medium Roksa shoulder, impen. This is well fitted, but you could go impen as well. This is the one well fitted that I have. Otherwise, I'm all impen and reinforced. I probably would change this. Like if you guys were setting this build up for yourself, I'd probably change this to impen. But the reason I haven't changed it is because I realized that I was running it and I like where my sustain is at. So I just figured I would keep it, and you know, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So if you wanted to go impen there, you could, but everything else is impen. So light sash, heavy chest. Make sure you always have your waist light, chest heavy. Next we got hands, legs, and feet Gourmands, all impen. Okay, jewelry, we got Rally Cry Swift. We got 2 Swift, so Rally Cry, Amulet, and Ring Swift, with both weapon damage enchants on it. Next, if you haven't already guessed it or know what it is, we got the Monomyth Reforged Ring. Okay, so if you haven't seen this, we also have it infused. If you haven't seen it, it's while you're in combat and on your front bar, you get Major Force, which is an extra 20% crit damage. You get Minor Berserk, which is an extra 5% damage, and Minor Vulnerability, which is an extra... Minor Vulnerability is put on yourself. So you take 5% more damage while on your front bar, but you're dealing 5% more damage, and you get 20% more crit damage done. Then, when you're on your back bar, you get Major Protection, 10% less damage taken, an extra 8% healing from Minor Vitality, and you get Minor Timidity, which slowly drains your ult. But if you're light attack weaving, if you're in a fight, you don't really notice this. You're still going to be gaining ult. You don't consistently lose ult on your back bar. The Minor Timidity is basically negligible. So this is a great set, and the reason why I'm running Rally Cry and Gourmands is because of this. Our Rally Cry gives us a 1-piece crit when we're on our front bars. As you can see, the 4-piece isn't active when we're on their front bar. But when we're on our front bar, we get all the crit from Gourmands, and we're just stacking the crit damage on this build. So Monomyth is fantastic, and it's the reason why we're running the certain sets that we are. So that's the gear, and next we will get into our character sheet. Alright guys, so this is our character sheet. You gotta run Grand Champion title, it's the best title in the game. We're running 29.8k health. I don't like going over 30k health, just the way that I've always done it. I know a lot of people are running extra health nowadays, but the more health you have, the less stam and mag you have, the less you're gonna heal. Yeah, maybe if you get bursted, but we're all tanky on this build. We don't need more than 30k health. We're at a great spot right here. If you sacrifice your stam for your health, which you could do, you're gonna have less healing power, less damage. I don't think that's necessary. I think that you're in a great spot at essentially 30k health, just under, and I refuse to go to 30k health unless I can achieve that on a build. So I'm running 29.8k. You guys should do the same. 9 points into health, 55 into stam. We got the Shadow Mundus Stone. Don't look at the stats too heavily right now. I'll just put screenshots of the fully buffed stats at the end of the video. But we run Shadow Mundus Stone. We are an Imperial for the race. So we get extra health, stam, and 6% less 6% reduced cost on all abilities. I'm pretty sure that includes ults. So that just brings our sustain to a level that's perfect. You guys could go Khajiit if you wanted. You get a little bit more like mag and stam recovery, but I think all in all, you get better sustain with the Imperial. You definitely get better sustain with the Imperial. And you would do more damage on the Khajiit, but I just like Imperial, and I don't think it's absolutely necessary to change. if you were to go to Khajiit, you would have to sacrifice some of your stam to maintain about the same health pool. So I like Imperial. You could absolutely go to Khajiit. For the food, we're running the smoked bear haunch, and I'll just go over it right now. For our consumables, or for our potion, we're just running Tripots. So I think that's it for the character sheet, consumables, and race. So next we'll get into the skills. Alright, so the skills are very important on this build. The skills, I think, are essentially what ties this build together, and what makes this build a little bit better than the way that other people are running their Sorkdenblades. So we got Hurricane, gives us our armor buff and minor expedition. Make sure you have that. We got Race Against Time, so gives us minor force and our major expedition when we hit it, and it removes snares and immobilizations for up to 4 seconds. Gives us that immunity for 4 seconds. There is a flex spot for this, which I'll talk about at the end of the skills, but this is what we're running currently. Next we got Healing Soul. So we heal, restore 600 mega in stam when we hit, and it gives us major vitality for 10 seconds. So when we hit this, especially with Monomyth, we get 20% increased healing, because we get major and minor vitality. I believe it's 20. I believe minor gives 8%. I could be wrong. It might be 6, but either way, it's 18 to 20% increased healing when you hit this on your back bar. It's a great heal, and if you guys aren't aware of where this scribing skill comes from, I believe it comes from Soul Magic. So Soul Magic right here, that's where you get it. Okay, next we got Vigor. It's going to give us our minor resolve buff, and it's a great heal over time. It's the best heal over time in the game. Next we got the Blue Betty. This gives us major weapon and spell damage, 20%. Removes 1 negative effect from you, and if no negative effects are removed, you increase your damage done by 5% for 5 seconds. So it's just another thing that increases our damage if nothing negative is removed. So this is a great skill. I like having the mag version because it puts our mag sustain at a awesome spot. I feel like you could do stam here, but I think if you were to do stam, I think it would be good either way. I could test it out. You guys could test it out as well if you wanted. You'd be able to sprint around, dodge a little bit more with the stam, but I feel like if you were to really get into trouble with the stam Betty, you might not have quite enough mag sustain to be able to heal yourself as much, as opposed to if you had the Blue Betty like this. So this is what I like to run. Next we got Temporal Guard on our for our ult on the back bar. This gives us minor protection. That's the reason why we use it. I don't ever really hit this ult, but with minor protection stacked with Monomyth, we get minor and major protection while on the back bar. We got minor vitality, increases our healing, and when we hit our healing soul, we get an extra 12% healing. So we're ultra tanky on the back bar, which I love to have. We're a little bit squishy on the front bar, but when we switch to the back bar, we're tanky. We're tanky. We can take damage. We're fast. We can move around, like unreal back bar. I'll get into the flex. I'll get into the flex spots at the end again. Okay, front bar, we got Dawnbreaker of Smiting. So this is a great AoE ult. This just absolutely drops people, and it's got a great dot on it as well. So you guys, you could run other ults, but I like this, and yeah, I'll go over the what else you could run after. Next we got Surprise Attack. So it's one of the best spammables in the game. Great upfront damage that applies instantly. Gives us the Sundered status effect, which is going to give us extra pen and an extra 100 weapon and spell damage. It also knocks people off balance and is sometimes guaranteed to be a crit. So you can use this if you're attacking someone with this and you set them off balance. You can then medium or heavy attack weave and stun them. So it's a big reason why it's one of the best spammables in the game. Next we got Merciless Resolve. This gives us our crit bonus at all times, and when you get the stacks, it just gives you an insane burst skill. It now stacks up to 10 times, and so you can have 2 stacked up potentially. So it just gives you a great burst potential with this skill. It's one of the best delayed burst skills in the game, and it's quite cheap as well. Next we have Crit Surge. I see a lot of people run this kind of subclassing setup and not run Crit Surge. I think that's a mistake. I think Crit Surge, along with a certain CP passive, along with the amount of crit percentage that we have, gives us a ridiculous amount of healing. And it's passive healing. Like, you know, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to hit this skill and heal yourself. You know, it's just something that heals you that you don't really have to think about. You just have to keep it up. And I'll get into the CP with this, and you guys, if you haven't seen the certain CP that you run with this, it's gonna blow your mind, and it's a big reason why this skill is so good. Next we got Deep Fissure. It's a great delayed damage skill, and it gives us our major and minor breach, so it gives us our pen. We don't have the highest pen on this build, but because of this increases our pen to a quite reasonable amount, and allows us to burst enemies down. So obviously you guys know Deep Fissure is a great skill. Next we got Binding Contingency. This ability is insane. We're base class Warden, so you guys probably already know, but with the base class Warden, you can activate the Charm. So the way I set up this skill is we do magic damage and immobilize the enemy, so they get immobilized when you use it, and then they're also charmed. They're charmed as well, and if they're not charmed, you get stats back. And then you also get minor intellect and minor endurance, increasing your Mega Sam recovery by 15%. So this skill is absolutely insane. Afterwards, I'm gonna show you guys some combos and how to use this skill. And if you guys do use this, you'll see the power of it. Talking about flex spots, I haven't done it yet, but one thing I'd like to experiment with is Deceptive Predator on the back bar in place of Race Against Time. This is a little bit more efficient of a skill. It gives you Major Expedition for 2 seconds longer than Race Against Time. It gives you the snares, and that also gives you minor evasion when it's slotted. It only gives you the minor evasion on the bar that you're on. So if you put this on your back bar, you're just gonna be extra tanky on your back bar where it's already super tanky, so you can use that. But then if we were to do that and switch it out, we would no longer have minor force, which we definitely want on this build. So if you do that, then on your Binding Contingency, you change the bottom thing from minor intellect to minor force. So you get your minor force this way. So if you do that, you'll lose out on a little bit of sustain, but you're gonna be a bit tankier on the back bar. Yeah, that's just kind of your trade-off, and it's just a little bit more efficient of a skill to use the Deceptive Predator. So that's something you could do. It's something I'm definitely going to experiment with. I just need to get the Force affix on this character, but something to think about. You could also run, if you wanted, Spell Wall on the back bar. Spell Wall is a great ability. It reflects projectiles, which can be bows and whatnot. So this is a great ult. I just like having the extra tankiness on the back bar always, so that's why I do that. And then if you wanted, you could run Incap. You could potentially run Power Overload on the back bar and then combo it with your Dawnbreaker or Incap if you wanted, or you could also run Onslaught. You could run the other morph of the 2H ability as well, and that would give you extra tankiness and immunity to snares and immobilizations and stuns, I believe, for 8 seconds. But I feel like we have such high crit percentage, and not the best pen. So this skill is essentially like a corrosive armor, except you don't get the tankiness, but you get all the pen. And I feel like with this build, there could be a lot of potential. I haven't experimented with it a lot, but there's definitely some potential there. Also, with the 2H passive, follow-up, when you do a fully charged heavy attack, you can do an increased 10% damage. And then if you do that and pair it up with a certain CP passive that I'm going to show you, you could do potentially 43% increased damage with Onslaught. Anyways, let's get into the champion points next. Okay, so let's get into the champion points. So I think I already said it for the skills, but the champion points are really what ties this build together and what brings this build to the next level. So in the green tree, everyone says it doesn't matter, but if you don't, make sure you have your fall damage on here. I like having Seed's Blessing a little bit faster when you're out of combat, and then these two up here, Gifted Rider and War Mount, you obviously want when you're in Cyrodiil, right, so you can get around quite a bit faster. Next is the blue tree. The blue tree is really what gives you the biggest variance in your builds. You can really kind of specialize a build more so in the blue tree than the red. But let's get into it. The blue tree is super important, and the most important, the two most important CP passes that we have here are Cutting Defense, and I'll get into the other one, but Cutting Defense, guys, this is the CP that I was talking about that makes our crit surge insane. So when people are doing direct damage to us within 7 meters, we hit them back with this. And when we hit them back with this, it can crit. And we have about 50% crit or more sometimes. So when people hit us, we hit them back with this and crit, and that will proc our crit surge. So it will heal us without us literally doing anything. We just have to have it up. And it procs a lot. It procs a lot. So this is literally what makes our build and our skill setup like tie together. This gives us so much healing, and so many people sleep on this, but you guys aren't going to. You guys are going to watch this, see this, try it out, and you're going to fall in love with it, and you're going to run crit surge and never run it without this. Great CP passive. Next, we got Cleansing Revival. We do have Betting Etch, so we can cleanse things from us, and I like to spam Betting Etch to cleanse a lot of things, and I'll hit Betting Etch kind of when I'm waiting for Vigor to get to a certain spot. Like, I'll usually try to hit my Vigor when it's at 14 seconds. That's when the healing expires. But I'll hit Betting Etch if I'm like being really defensive until that Vigor comes up. That just maximizes my healing. But if we have a bunch of things on us, we get bursted, or there's a lot of people on us, when we get under 25% health, that just cleanses everything. And there's some things that you can't cleanse with Betting Etch, but this cleanses it. This cleanses everything. So don't sleep on this, use this. Next CP that we use is Master at Arms. Gives us an extra 6% damage done to our direct damage abilities. And then we run Fighting Finesse, which gives us an extra 8% crit damage and crit healing. Another CP passive that you can worry about, potentially use, is Riposte. A lot of people sleep on this, but when you block, it gives you this buff, and then when you hit someone with your next direct damage, it increases the damage that it does by 33%. That is absolutely insane, and it can happen every 5 seconds. So if I was saying with the 2H ult and the follow-up passive, what you could do is you could hit your Contingency skill, fully charge heavy attack. At the end of that block, it will proc this, and if it's still within 5 seconds of when you did your heavy attack, you can hit your onslaught. It will hit 43% harder. 43% harder. And it's gonna hit 43% harder going through all of their defenses. And it's likely gonna crit because we have such high crit. So it's definitely something to think about. I might experiment with this a little bit more for open world. For dueling, I definitely use Riposte. But open world, you're doing a lot of things where you're like rolling. You don't always have the opportunity to, I don't really know how much you actually have the opportunity to proc this in open world. So it's definitely something to think about. It's definitely something I'm gonna experiment with a little bit more. But it's something you could definitely use. Okay, let's get into our red tree. I like using Celerity. we're already fast on this build. We get major and minor expedition. This gives us an extra 10% movement speed, and we have 2 pieces of swift, so we're just faster than pretty well everyone. We're just so mobile in this build. We got crazy amount of damage, crazy defense. Celerity just kind of helps raise our speed and just make us faster than even fast people. So I like using celerity. Next, we got survival instincts. When we have a status effect on us, 20%, 25% less cost to roll, dodge, blocking, break, freeze, things like that, right? This is huge. This increases your sustain a ridiculous amount. Most people use this, but if you don't, it's something to think about for sure. We don't use relentlessness because we always have major protection while on our back bar, so I don't double stack it. You could use it, get it on your front bar if you do this, but I don't think that's really necessary. We got sustained by suffering and pain's refuge, so the more effects on us, the less damage that we take. I also have only 10 in here because it reduces the amount of elemental status effects on us, and we want those status effects on us because it's going to help proc this. I'm not exactly sure if that's still the best way to run it. I know that's how people used to run it. If anyone knows specifically 100% fact, please comment below. But that's the way that I've been running it. It's the way I've been running it for years. So yeah. All right, so that's it for the CP, and yeah. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I went over everything, guys, but I'd just like to show you guys a few of the combos that I like to use on this build, how to set them up, etc. Also, before I get into that, I'm just explaining why I'm using the 2H over dual wield. You get a little bit more damage with dual wield. However, I love the 2H because you get a thicker shock damage enchant. I can see when I hit people or NPCs, whatever, that this is hitting quite hard. And the shock damage glyphs that you could potentially have on a dual wield will hit half as hard. So having this on the front bar, I absolutely love, and shock damage can proc minor vulnerability. So it's just a great thing to have. I like having the two-hander. Another reason why I like having the two-hander is because in the 2H skills, you get the same amount of crit damage. Like if I had 2 axes, it's still both 12% crit damage. But when you kill someone with a 2H on your front bar, you get an extra 30% stam recovery for 10 seconds. And that's outside of like major endurance, major and minor endurance. So we already have major and minor endurance, but this gives us an extra 30% on top of that. So when we're killing people, our stam recovery is great. Okay, something to think about. All right. Okay, so let's get into some combos. Obviously, you always want to stay fully buffed. You got to make sure your crit surge is up all the time because that's going to heal you a ridiculous amount. And then, like I said, like when I'm doing my Betties, like let's say I'm being super defensive right now, I'm keeping up my crit surge. I hit my Vigor. Now I got all my buffs up, but I'm running away, right? So now it's like, okay, I got to hit Vigor at 14, but let me hit 2 Betties before I get there, right? And that's giving me extra healing until I have to hit Vigor, right? So it's just, that's how you're going to maximize your defenses while being defensive. You know, you're maximizing your healing while being defensive. Is like, you don't have to just sit there and wait for your Vigor or like hit Vigor again. Like hit a couple Betties, wait for your Vigor to just end, and then hit it again. That's going to be most efficient with your resources, and it's going to be the best thing that you can do because it's going to give you the most healing. Obviously, sometimes if you're ready to flip the fight around and go on the offensive, I like to hit, you know, my Vigor as I'm going to the front bar, so I have the biggest offensive window. I have healing for a longer amount of time while I'm going offensive. Okay, anyways, let's get into the combos here. So you're fully going to buff up. I like to start my combos off with a shock. So I go shock, contingency, into a light attack, surprise attack. Alright, so we'll go light attack, shock, light attack, contingency, light attack. And then I also like to hit my dashes sometimes too. So I'll light attack boom, and then light attack bow, things like that, right? So Another combo I like to do, I'll show you when it pops back up, is I will be fully buffed up again. I'll hit my shock, contingency, and then I'll hit my light attack, bow. And what that does is it immobilizes the person who hits them with a bow, and then they'll want to dodge roll, right? So that's going to burst them quite a bit. They dodge roll, and then when they dodge roll, you can catch people with the DB through the dodge roll and stun them, right? So it's kind of like this. Shock, contingency, light attack bow, there you dodge roll, hit them with DB, maybe you have another bow up, hit them with it again, or, you know, surprise attack. So that's another combo. Okay, so I'm going to get one more ult, I'm going to get an ult again, and then I'll show you another combo. You can obviously play around with these combos a lot. There's a lot of different kinds of ways that you can mix things up, you know, like you don't have to always do what I'm doing. You can mix it up, try to catch people off guard, whatever, right? Well, it's also important to keep note that your second shock hits harder. So sometimes if I like hit the first shock, right, then I'll be like, okay, I got 5 seconds, I'll be defensive, hit my contingency, and then boom, and then I'm hitting with the second shock. The second shock's going to be doing a significant more damage than the first shock that you would hit with. Okay, so when this thing pops back up, I'll show you another combo. So it always starts shock, contingency. I'm not doing light attacks in between right now because it's too far away, but if you are close to the person, do your light attacks. But it's going to be like this. So shock, contingency, light attack, Dawnbreaker, they're stunned, hit them with the bow. Hit them with the light attack bow. So yeah. Those are the combos. I feel like, you know, you definitely could mix it up a little bit, but those are the main combos that I use to kill people. Oh, you know what, I'll show you another one. Okay, so let's say, you know, we see how he just got hit off bouncer. Now we know we can stun him, right? So light attack, contingency, and then medium weave, and then into a bow, right? And when you medium weave into the bow, it'll stun them. And then when they're stunned, they're not going to be able to break free in time before your bow hits. So that is a very common combo on how to kill someone without and almost guarantee your bow hit. Alright, so that's all the combos, and yeah. Alright, so that's the build, guys. I guess I didn't really talk about passives, but you know, if you guys have the skills, you just want to use all the passives. Just use every passive that you can. Yeah. Right, use all the passives, medicinal passives, etc. But anyways, that's the build. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was long, but I wanted to give you guys all the details that I can. If I did perhaps miss something, just comment below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. I hope this build serves you well. I know it's going to. If you put this build together, you will do great things with it. You'll do great things. Also, I guess, like, just kind of in conclusion, thinking about it, like, obviously a lot of people run Null Arca now. You've never heard of it, as you've probably seen it, but it does extra crit damage, but, you know, you don't always get that, right? You always have the Gourmands bonus, you always have it. And, you know, we just have a great amount of sustain, so I haven't tried Null Arca, but I don't think I need to. This build just gives us so much damage all the time, and we don't have to rely on our proc to do our damage. I'm very happy with this build. I think you guys will be. And yeah. Any questions, let me know. I think I got everything. Glad to be back, and take care and good luck. For the Pact!